I have several paintings that I've started in one of my favorite color palettes, a combination of pinks. They're all in an ugly, awkward stage, and I'm going to bring you along as I work on them and hopefully make some progress. Hi, I'm Kim. I'm a self-taught part-time artist. Let's get moving on these paintings. Here's the first painting. It has a bunch of layers underneath with some interesting shapes and marks showing through. I had taken some black paint and made some loose marks to give me something to react to. Today, I started out with a silicone paint pusher and used some white in semi-wide strokes. I'm just getting started here, but the reason I chose wide white marks is because they're the opposite of what is there already. And the white is also a nice neutral color to get going with. There's a lot of pink on there already, so I want some variety and contrast. Here I'm showing you a black and white picture of how my painting is looking right now. I use this exercise often to give me an idea of how the contrast or lights and darks are looking in the painting. I want a variety, not all lights and not all darks. I want a balance of dark, light, and medium tones. I want the painting to be loose and messy looking, not too structured. I want it to be kind of scribbly with lots of layers. I'll use different sized tools and brushes and keep the brush loose in my hand so it's not easy to control. Because I have a loose grip on it, the lines aren't as predictable, which is the effect I want. I'm kind of scrubbing at the surface, almost a scratching motion. Later on, I can always tidy it up if it needs a bit of structure. Here are a pair of smaller canvases with some different colors and marks on them than the first one. I usually work on multiple pieces at a time, rotating through them with similar colors and marks. This helps me to not get too fixated on one painting. It gives me a different perspective and gives me something to do while the paint dries on the first one. You can see here that there's a good balance right now of dark, light, and medium tones. There are some bold marks and some softer ones. There are some thick lines and some thinner ones. There's a lot of push and pull still to come, and some of those contrasts may be lost in the process, but I feel pretty good about parts of these paintings right now. I sometimes rotate my canvases to get a different viewpoint. Here, I'm not loving all of the yellow, so I'm loosely covering some of it with a pinky gray. I may put some yellow back in later, but most of it will disappear for now. I was getting too fiddly with that gray, so I switched over to a different piece again. This is me trying to decide what to do next and being indecisive. You can see that some of the contrast is gone and there are a lot of mid-tones right now. I'll need to fix that at some point. I know it looks like I'm painting like a kindergarten student here, but that's the point. I want scruffiness. Later on, I'll smooth it back some so that only some of the scribbles show. I like how you can see lots of layers. It makes you want to come up close and take a closer look at what's underneath. Here's how the pieces looked at the end of that session. I'm happy with some of the progression. As I said before, I like the layers. I also love how some of the yellow is still peeking through. I don't like wasting paint, so I used what I had left on my palette in my art journal. It will give me something to start with when I want to work in my art journal in the future. I'm still using some contrasting light and darks though, and a variety of marks. I'm not done with these yet, but it was a productive time in the studio. I added a few touches of some white and neon pink off screen, and we'll come back to these later. These pieces have some contrast that I'm happy with. There are darks, lights, and midtones. There's some roughness and smoothness, some boldness and softness. The way I like my paintings is with lots of layers. From a distance, the boldness and brightness catches your attention, and when you look closely, you can see all the history.